When you give a child a phone, you don't give them access to the world. You give the world access to your child.
Yes.
And is your child ready?
Parents are very, very scared to let the children play outside because it's one of the things that we see that is causing a lot of addiction or screen time, too much screen time, is because
Exactly.
children are not playing outside anymore.
Welcome to the podcast, Safe Parenting with Funkyfing, where we help you as parents navigate the digital age that we're in and also the landscape of South Africa. Welcome, Dr. Anke. We are very excited for our first episode on our podcast. And it's a privilege for us to have you here.
Samantha, thank you. And it's my honor to be your first guest, and I'm really looking forward to have an amazing time on this podcast, and we are going to share a lot. So thank you so much.
It's only our pleasure. We are very thrilled to have you here. So just for the listeners out there, who are we and why should they listen to us, and what is the vision of this podcast? So Dr. Anke, I'm going to start with who are you and why should those other parents of South Africa listen to what you have to bring to them?
Samantha, thank you so much. So my journey started a long time ago where I had a very close family member that was completely addicted to gaming. And that had a huge impact on not only on him as a person, but on our whole family. So that is the thing about addiction, is that it's not only the addict that gets affected, but really everyone else. So it started where the gaming became a problem in the household, and my dad actually came to me because just before that, I just finished my master's degree in Christian counseling, and my dad asked me and he said, do something. So what do you do with something so new? And that was around about 2009, 2010. So I started studying and researching, and it ended up to be a PhD degree on gaming addiction and internet addiction. But everything was still a hypothesis. Everything was still a theory. There was no way to prove that there is actually such a thing as digital addiction or social media addiction or Facebook addiction. And that led to the second PhD degree on internet addiction 10 years later, where everything now is scientifically proven. So there's no such thing as a person can say, but it's just a compulsion or it's just a bad habit. It's not. We literally see now on research what excessive screen time is doing to you as an entire being, not just the brain or not just the body, but also just your spirit and also just your psyche, your mind, your thought patterns, your soul, as a matter of fact. So yes, this is me. I've got 2 PhD degrees then on the field of internet addiction. I was recently appointed as associate professor as well on Christian counseling. I work full-time as a counselor. I travel a lot. I teach. I present. I also work with law enforcement with regards to this. So this is my heart and this is my passion. So digital addiction is me.
That's awesome. And we are so privileged to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, just from Funkyfing, I mean, this is where it started. It started from a mom who weren't ready to give her son a cell phone. I mean, he's only 7 years old. But what do we do? What do we do when we need to be connected with them? And we don't want to expose them to all the dangers that you are going to talk about.
Yes.
But we need to know where they are, and we need to be connected. And that's where I made it my personal mission to find a safe cell phone alternative out there that don't have any internet, any social media or games. It's purely for the communication purposes, and there's other benefits like health tracking, etc. But just to develop a product that is there for the parents, it's there for the kids, and it's even the principals at the schools or for wherever they operate, the children operate in, it's beneficial for the parents. So thank you so much, because we are really on a mission to grow kids without screens.
Yes.
So to keep them bored. Because
I was obviously delighted to meet you, Samantha, because as I advocate for taking phones from children, so that is the thing I say, is just take the phone, or at least try to delay giving children phones. But I, as an advocate and a voice, also had the problem where a mom will come to me saying, listen, but I cannot take the child's phone because I need to communicate with this child, or I need to connect with the child. I also saw a lot where you have school children, or especially your primary school children, who is using public transport. Okay. Where the mom said to me, I cannot take the child's phone because my child is using public transport, and public transport is not reliable. So maybe the taxi will break down, or maybe they will drop the child off 2 blocks from the school. Exactly. How will I be able to communicate with my child or see where my child is when I take the phone away? So also just from my side, I am so grateful to actually go to a mom and say, but there is an amazing, healthy, safe alternative in not giving your child a phone. So I also salute you just with what you are doing, and that you went, like you say, it was so personal for you, but South Africa is grateful for your personal problem because it will solve really a massive problem for a lot of people. So tell us, Samantha, why do we need to give a child a smartwatch instead of a smartphone?
That's a really good question. So, like I said, so I always use this analogy when I talk. I say, when you give a child a phone, you don't give them access to the world. You give the world access to your child.
Yes.
And is your child ready at that young age, or even high school? Australia, who banned social media up until the age of 16.
Yes.
So even up until 16 years old, are they equipped? Are their brains developed? Are they ready for whatever comes with giving them a phone?
Yes.
And that is just why we said no. There needs to be an alternative. And in the day and age that we live in, there needs to be an alternative. And I always say, when we were handed our newborn children, they didn't come with a manual.
No, I wish they did.
Exactly. And also, they didn't come with a manual applicable to today's age, where we have the digital world. We need to parent different than what our parents did, or even our grandparents.
Yes.
So where's that manual?
Yes, true.
So how can we parent in today's age and be safe and healthy and connected without being disconnected?
Yeah.
Not connected with a phone, but we actually in reality disconnected.
100%. So I just want to ask you, so for example, my niece, she is now in grade 3 and she is changing schools. Mom is working full-time, dad is not currently in the picture. So when I also said to this mom, listen, give this girl your Funkyfing watch, what will be the benefit for the mother and what will be the benefit for my niece in having a Funkyfing watch?
Thank you, Dr. Anke. That's a good question. So, like I said, this is for the parent and for the child. So, from a parent's perspective, is you are in control. So you control the contacts that can access that SIM card. You are in control in terms of like I said, who can access your child. Whenever two Funkyfing watches can scan with each other. So let's say you've got a brother and a daughter, they can brother and daughter, they can scan with each other. Let's say they scan with a friend at school. You get notified and you can decide yes or no. So as a parent, you are in control. You can see where their whereabouts are. So it's a
so
tracker.
the location.
So there's a location tracking.
Okay.
You can set safety zones. So for instance, when she is at school, you want to know that she's in school. So you set a safety zone for school. Whenever she moves out of that location, she gets you get as the parent, you get notified instantly.
But can she switch off the phone, the watch, for example? So if she moves out of the safety zone, say she want to go visit a friend, she just switch off the watch.
So we actually have a functionality on the app that disables that option.
Okay.
So you can't put off the watch.
All right, wow.
Which is great. I mean, just with human trafficking in South Africa, when they want to put off the watch, it's, they can't just physically do that. So from a parent's perspective, you are in control.
Sure.
And then from the child's perspective, it's also, I had a mom recently. She told me her daughter needs to go to after school, but she's very anxious, like crying. And her mom gave her the watch to say, I know where you are all the time. So don't worry. I'm with you. I'm there with you. So from a child's perspective, it also gives them that peace of mind knowing that they are connected.
But she can phone the mom from the watch as well.
Yes.
So just to check in with mom.
Exactly. And send a voice note or a picture. But then you're going to ask, okay, but can we, isn't it going to be a distraction in school?
Yes.
And yes, it might be, but we thought about this and we have a blocker or what we call a school mode or a do not disturb mode.
Okay.
So whenever they're in school or whenever you don't want them to be distracted, you enable it and all they can do is see the time like a normal watch and the SOS call that they can press when.
Oh, so there is like a function for like a panic button or like you say an SOS call.
Yes.
Because this is our reality is children not where they are supposed to be or getting lost or I don't want to, scare everyone. But human trafficking, is our reality. And I think this is what I see in my walk with children and parents is that parents are very, very scared to let the children play outside because it's one of the things that we see that is causing a lot of addiction or screen time. Too much screen time is because children are not playing outside anymore. So it's just a peace of mind for both the parent and for the child. So that's really awesome, Samantha. And thank you for all your research.
Yeah.
Like I say, for me as a field worker almost, it is so awesome not just to tell the doom and gloom because I, unfortunately, when I do speak to parents or when I do speak to children, a big part of my message is almost like fear-based. But it is amazing to say, listen, but there is an alternative. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Anke. And we look forward to have you on the future episodes where you not necessarily just going to share the doom and gloom, but you're going to share the tips, the advice, and you're going to share real life stories. And that is what you parents, our listeners can expect from this podcast, is that we're going to share stories from parents, stories from educators, and get those real life examples. I mean, I'm a mommy of 3 myself, so I'm going to ask the hard questions to you as guest speakers on behalf of all the parents out there. So I'm not going to be shy to ask the hard questions.
Please do, Samantha. And you know what is a good thing of stories is that it's something also that we remember, and I think of Jesus in the Bible as well, when he taught the masses, or even when he taught, the disciples, he told them stories. So the story is the one that you at the end of the day will remember, not the statistic or the data, but you will remember the story. So this is going to be an awesome journey. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anke. And just before we slot off this episode, I just want you to explain to our listeners a little bit more about your book that you currently have, and also your children's book. Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about this.
So thank you so much. The book actually also is a whole testimony on its own. So just to keep it very short, met my second husband just before COVID, and the whole COVID thing happened, and we were at that stage, we were just friends, and I was writing this book, and I come from an academic background, and one day I was asking my friend, to that stage, he was just my friend, to read the book for me and just give me his opinion, because we had a lot of time, obviously. And initially he was reading the book, and he said to me, do you know that I was a gaming addict for 20 years?
Oh, wow.
And that he roughly estimated that he had about 30,000 gaming hours.
Oh, wow.
So
what better
exactly.
advocates.
And yeah, I have like
A real life
eventually we got married eventually, but it's like a live-in example and a live-in testimony of just the damage of excessive screen time and gaming addiction. So the book is part my second degree, so it's a lot of evidence based, it's a lot of research, but a massive part of the book is Aldrich's testimony. So he wrote a whole chapter on the book on his testimony and his story, because especially gaming addiction, there normally is a wound. There's a reason, because you escape into gaming. So yes,
why are you escaping to it?
Exactly. So he told his story in the book, why he got addicted, why he couldn't stop, and so also the following chapters on gaming addiction, he specifically wrote. So it's co-authored with my husband now, Aldrich.
Awesome.
So the chapters in the book is also divided in such a way that you, for example, say you want to read up on gaming addiction, that you don't have to go and read the whole book to get the information.
Okay.
Or you, for example, see that your daughter is stuck in social media, then you can only go and read the chapter on social media.
Okay.
So yes, I address social media, I address gaming addiction, I address pornography and the whole. Yeah, it's actually sad, but everything around pornography, meta, the metaverse, and then, but the most important chapter or chapters in the book is the solution. What is the solution? So that is the good news, is that there is actually a solution to gaming addiction, pornography addiction, social media. It's a rough road, but it's 100% doable. So that is the big book or the adult's book. And then by the grace of God, I wrote a children's book. The book is about this little bugger. His name is Jamie. And Jamie got a brand new friend. So the friend's name in the Afrikaans version, the friend's name is Foonie, like a phone. And the English version, it's Buzzy. So initially Buzzy and Jamie were like best of friends. And they did everything together. Went with him to the bedroom, in the bedroom, to school, at the dinner table, not spending enough time with family, not studying. So everything is just around Buzzy. And then all of a sudden, Jamie's life is starting to fall apart because of things he got exposed to, things he saw, not being selected for the soccer team because he didn't go for soccer practice. His grades were falling because he wasn't studying. He was sleepy during school. And then also at the end of the day, again, but what is the solution? So children love the book. I am grateful because I'm not a children's book author, but again, it was just just grace. So the book is telling its own story.
Yes. So I actually read this book to my 3 children, and they couldn't stop listening. They were glued to my lips.
Oh, that's a good story.
It was. I really enjoyed reading it. So just for the listeners out there, if they want to get a hold of your book, where can they get a hold of the children's book and your own book?
So both of the books are available on Takealot. The one is called The Digital Dilemma, and the other one is Jamie's New Friend in English, or Jamie's Nuwe Maat in Afrikaans. But I am also on Facebook, so please contact me on Facebook. And then also my email address is Anke100 atlantic.net. Also, for the listeners who have personal questions for me, they are so welcome to contact me. I would love to help.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Anke. Thank you. So we are very thrilled of having you here. Thank you for being with our first episode.
Yes,
and stay tuned, listeners, for our second episode with Dr. Anke.
Thank
you.